For those of you who are listening to the podcast and can't see me at the moment, I'd like to let you know that I'm wearing red for Valentine's Day. I have on my red USA hat because, well, it's the only thing I have that's red. And also, I love America. I heart the USA. So, you know, the United States of America is my Valentine. Well, that and my wife. What's up? This is Mark Kaye Saves the Republic. Happy Valentine's Day. Happy Valentine's Day wherever you're watching. If you're watching on YouTube or Rumble, we appreciate it. If you're listening to the podcast, happy Valentine's Day to you guys as well. This is very exciting. And we're back on TikTok for a minute. Yesterday we were testing TikTok, and when we started testing TikTok, they said no. They said you're full of misinformation, you misinformationist. So they said no more TikTok. But we're back today, and we're gonna try again, because if at first you don't succeed, try again, man. I gotta tell you, there's so much. I thought that Valentine's, I was like, you know, it'll probably be a slow day, what with its Valentine's Day and all, and everybody's gonna be out eating chocolate and making lovey eyes, and who knows what. I don't even know what people do. I had some chocolate for breakfast, but I think that's normal on Valentine's. There's a couple holidays where you have chocolate for breakfast. One of them is Valentine's Day. Another one is, Sunday. Another one is your birthday. You know, whenever. Sometimes like the day after Christmas, you wake up and you just go see whatever. Easter is another one, man. Easter candy for breakfast, I think, is an Easter staple. I know a lot of people do brunch and stuff like that, but it's hard-boiled eggs and candy. That's pretty much my entire Easter. That's my entire Easter diet. Less now that the kids are a little older and I'm a little older, but I take it where I can get it. Anyway, listen, we got some big news today. First of all, Donald Trump hung something in the White House, and somebody caught wind of it. Somebody zoomed in on this, and the internet just exploded with glee. Everybody all over the world was just like, this is the most amazing thing in the history of the world. Everybody was like, this is fantastic. I love it. And I do too. And in fact, I'll show it to you here in just a minute. Also, J.D. Vance, how great a vice president is J.D. Vance? They sent J.D. Vance to Europe. And J.D. Vance got to Europe, and he walked off the plane, and he got it right up on a stage, and he basically just told everybody, F you, Europe. He basically went to Europe to go tell them, where to stick it. J.D. Vance, in his first, I think it's his first European trip since being vice president, gets off the plane, goes to this conference, whatever it is, and just tells them all to go straight to HE double hockey sticks. And if they don't like it, they are going to have tough. They're going to have to deal. They're going to have to deal with Donald Trump for the next 4 years. It was really amazing to see and so much fun. So much fun to watch. I really enjoyed it. We'll be bringing you those clips. Plus, yesterday, Donald Trump was in the Oval Office. He was swearing in RFK Jr. as the Secretary of Health and Human Services, which was a big deal. He was making America healthy again. He was making fun of Caitlin Collins from CNN. So much great stuff. So much great. In fact, you know what? Why don't we start with that? Because it was kind of like a little lover spat, if you will. Donald Trump went into the Oval Office. He was signing executive orders, which is like his new favorite thing, right? His favorite thing is to go into the Oval Office. He likes to invite in all of the media and all of the press. And then what he does is he goes, hey, since we're here, why don't I take a bunch of questions from you guys, and I'll, ask me whatever you want. Whatever you want to ask, I will answer. That's whatever is on your mind, no problemo. I'm here for you. And so what happened was Donald Trump goes into the Oval Office and he signs the executive orders, and Caitlin Collins from CNN, I guess she's so used to Donald Trump just taking questions that she's not even waiting anymore for the question and answer period to begin. She just starts yelling and screaming her question out in the middle of Donald Trump posing for photos with his newly signed executive order. So he's like, hey, lady, shut up.
Mr. President, you won the White House in part because of high inflation. If your tariffs make prices go up...
Excuse me, we haven't asked you to speak yet, please. Right?
Excuse me. You in the back talking? Wait, no one told you to talk. We didn't ask you to speak. Has anyone ever asked Caitlin Collins to speak? Really? Has anyone ever said, you know what, Caitlin, I would love for you to speak right now? I know. I never. That was my favorite thing from yesterday.
Mr. President, you won the White House in part because of high inflation. If your tariffs make prices go up...
Excuse me, we haven't asked you to speak yet, please. Right?
Yeah, we haven't, excuse me, I'm still posing here. I don't know if you can, I'm posing with my executive order. They're taking photos. We're trying to get some B-roll. Please don't speak yet. There'll be a time for speaking. Now is not the time for speaking. When we want you to speak, we will let you know. Until then, please refrain from speaking. Nobody wants to hear your voice. And they go way back. Caitlin Collins is the new Jim Acosta. She was made famous by Donald Trump. Donald Trump, when they did the town hall meeting the year and a half, 2 years ago, Caitlin Collins got the short stick or the short straw. She had to go and do the town hall with Donald Trump. He called her a nasty woman. Boom. All of a sudden, she was the new star at CNN. She was everywhere. She got a big fat contract. They moved her off of the stupid Don Lemon morning show. They moved her right up to the primetime slot at the in the afternoon or the evening or wherever she is now. And now she's parked herself at the White House. Ever since Donald Trump returned to the White House, Caitlin Collins has set up shop there. And she's at every press briefing with Caroline Leavitt. She's at every impromptu Oval Office conference. She's on the front lawn. She's like the house guest that will never let no one invited and won't ever leave. And that's what Caitlin Collins is doing now. So Donald Trump he's getting used to her being there. But he's also getting a little more playful with her. And she started asking about Ukraine and how is this a fair negotiation? You're negotiating with Putin, but it seems like you're not even involving Zelensky and blah, blah, blah. And Donald Trump looks at her and says, look, lady.
I think Biden is incompetent. And I think when he said that they could join NATO, I thought that was a very stupid thing to say. I thought when he said, well, it depends if it's a minor incursion. In other words, it's okay if Russia does a minor incursion. I thought that was a very foolish thing to say. The other thing that got it started was how badly Milley and these stupid people, bad generals, how badly they did with Afghanistan. I was going to pull out, but we were pulling out with dignity and strength, and we were going to take our equipment with us and everything else. What they're doing is what they did with that. I think Putin looked at that mess and he said, wow, this is a great time. I'm going to go in. But what the Americans said, I'm not blaming Americans, but I will say what they said had a big influence on his deciding to go in.
Joe Biden basically is, and I love how Donald Trump's mind is a steel trap. He remembers every stupid thing Joe Biden said. He's like an encyclopedia of Joe Biden's stupidity. I thought I had a lot of Joe Biden's stupid comments saved, and I do. But Donald Trump, he can pull them up. Do you remember when he said minor incursion? I'd even forgotten about that. Oh yeah, he did. He did. Joe Biden was asked, would you invade Russia if they invaded Ukraine? And he said something along the lines of, well, not if it's just a minor incursion. A minor incursion would be okay. What? Wait, what? And Zelensky's sitting there going, what did he just say? No incursion is okay. And then Vladimir Putin's like, oh, minor incursion. Great. Let's go. We'll start with a minor incursion and then we'll just turn it into a full blown war. And Donald Trump's just like, this was one of the dumbest things of the many that Joe Biden has ever said. And then he goes, look, this is his other dig on Caitlin Collins. I know he's a friend of yours. He's an idiot. I know he's a friend of yours.
And this should have been done by Biden years ago. This should have never been allowed to happen. I know he's a friend of yours.
But couldn't Putin just withdraw his...
He's a friend of
today?
CNN. That's why nobody watches CNN anymore, because they have no credibility. Okay, who else? Yes, please.
Oh, speaking of a lack of credibility, here's something that kind of burned me a little bit. Because I was watching this thing on Fox News. I have Fox News on in the background, except right now. I should probably have it on in the back. I have Fox News on in the background usually. And Donald Trump was asked, I guess Caitlin Collins still, she got like a monologue or something. She got like 14 questions for the president. And she asked Donald Trump about Mitch McConnell voting against RFK Jr. because Mitch McConnell was the sole vote against RFK Jr. In the Senate. He got confirmed, but it was a vote of 52 to 48. All Democrats voted against him. Shocker. But Mitch McConnell joined the Democrats once again. He joined the Democrats with Tulsi Gabbard. He joined the Democrats with RFK Jr. We imagine he'll join the Democrats with Kash Patel, probably Nancy McMahon or Linda McMahon, probably all of them, because he's not all there. And Donald Trump started talking about it. And right in the middle of him talking about how Mitch McConnell's brain has kind of deteriorated and he's mentally incapacitated, Fox News cut away. And I was a little shocked by that. I'll be honest with you.
RFK Jr. as the next health secretary, citing conspiracy theories. What's your reaction to that?
Well, I feel sorry for Mitch. and I was one of the people that led. He wanted to go to the end, and he wanted to stay leader. He's not equipped mentally. He wasn't equipped 10 years ago mentally, in my opinion. He'd let the Republican Party go to hell. If I didn't come along, the Republican Party wouldn't even exist right now. Mitch McConnell never really had it. He had an ability to raise money because of his position as leader, which anybody could do. You could do it even, and that's saying a lot. But the fact is that he raised money, and he gave a lot of money to senators, and so he had a little loyalty based on the fact that as leader you could raise a lot of money. Senators would call me and they say, he wants to give me 20, 25 million. Can I take it? I'd say, take the money. Take the money. But he engendered a certain amount of, I don't even call it loyalty. He was able to get votes. But I was the one that got him to drop out of the leadership position, so he can't love me. But he's not voting against Bobby. He's voting against me, but that's all right. He endorsed me. Do you know that Mitch endorsed me, right?
Well, he did.
You think that was easy? What?
He had polio, obviously, and his.
I don't know. I don't know anything about he had polio. He had polio.
Are you doubting that he had polio?
I have no idea if he had polio. All I can tell you about him is that he shouldn't have been leader. He knows that. He voted against Bobby. He votes against almost everything now. He's a very bitter guy, and we have a very strong party. And he's almost not even really a very powerful member. I'd say he's not he's lost his power, and it's affected his vote. And it's one of those things. But in the meantime, Bobby did great, got more votes than anybody thought, and I think he's going to do phenomenally, just phenomenally in that position. And everybody else likewise did well. Not only well, they got more votes than anybody thought. Tulsi, look at how she did. She did great.
Anyway, and he just goes on and on and on. And I could listen to the whole thing, but I know we've got other stuff but she's like, are you doubting he had polio? He's like, I don't know if he had polio. Who knows? I'm not saying anything about polio. I'm just saying that Mitch McConnell's a horrible person. Now, here's the thing. Mitch McConnell, no Republicans like Mitch McConnell anymore because he votes with the Democrats. Donald Trump hates Mitch McConnell because he's voting against him with these RFK. He's voting against Donald Trump. He's 100% right. He doesn't care about RFK Jr. or Tulsi Gabbard. He doesn't like Donald Trump. And if Donald Trump chose RFK Jr. or Tulsi Gabbard, he's going to vote against him. He voted against Pete Hegseth. He's going to vote against Kash Patel. He's going to vote against everybody because this is his final dig at Donald Trump, even though it's stupid and pointless because all these people are getting confirmed anyway. But even this is how bad Mitch McConnell's become. All the Republicans hate him, and all the Democrats also still hate him. And Joy Behar from The View, I mean, I can't even imagine that I'm agreeing with Joy Behar, but Joy Behar on The View was talking this morning about Mitch McConnell, and she hates him. Literally nobody likes Mitch McConnell.
So here's the story. Two of Trump's most controversial cabinet nominees were confirmed. Tulsi Gabbard is our new director of national intelligence, and RFK Jr. is the head of Health and Human Services. There was only one GOP senator who voted no, the soon-to-be-retired Mitch McConnell, the man who got us into this mess. He stole a Supreme Court seat from Obama, voted to acquit Trump after the insurrection, and even endorsed him for president again. Thanks for nothing, Mitch. Don't let the door hit you on the way out.
So this is the one. Joy Behar and the Democrats on The View, they all hate RFK Jr., which is weird because he's a Kennedy. They all hate Tulsi Gabbard, which is weird because she was also a Democrat. That's the thing. The only thing that they hate more than Republicans are Democrats who've become Republicans. That's the thing. If they were still Democrats, they'd love them, but they're Democrats who became Republicans, and that's the only thing they hate more. Tulsi Gabbard, if she were still a Democrat, they'd be like, yay. If RFK Jr. was still a Democrat, they'd be like, woohoo, he's going to save the world. But they're not. They're Republicans now. They're Trump Republicans, and that's why she can't stand him. But even though Mitch McConnell voted against him, she still hates Mitch McConnell because he, quote unquote, stole a Supreme Court nominee from Barack Obama. I'm sorry. If memory serves me properly, there was a nomination. She didn't steal anything. Barack Obama nominated Merrick Garland. They didn't steal a nomination. There was an opening on the bench, and Merrick Garland got nominated. And then Mitch McConnell said, "We're going to vote after the election." And then Donald Trump became president and said, "You're out of there." Sorry, Merrick. You're not, I'm not, sorry, Merrick, you're not my speed. We're going to go with someone like, I don't know, Neil Gorsuch instead. So anyway, that's basically what happened. He didn't steal he got to, no, Merrick Garland got the nomination, and then he was tossed aside where he should have been left in the dustbin of history. However, Joe Biden fished him out of the dumpster, put him in charge of the DOJ, and that's a whole other story for another. You know how that one ended up. But now, thank God, we'll never have to see or hear from Merrick Garland again. But The View hates Mitch McConnell. Everybody hates Mitch McConnell. Nobody likes Mitch McConnell. That's really the lesson of the day. I have nothing else to say. I have nothing else to say about Mitch McConnell. I do want to talk about what Donald Trump hung in the White House, because this is just amazing. This is one of the most amazing things in the entire world. Yesterday, President Donald Trump in the Oval Office had a meeting with Prime Minister Modi of India. You know, a big country. It's the most populous country in the world. It was China. India was a close second. Then India got busy, literally. And there you go. And now all of a sudden, they've surpassed China in population. So India is the most populous country. It's a big deal to have, Prime Minister Modi here, and Donald Trump is sitting with him in the Oval Office. Everybody's there. I mean, you want to talk about Doug Burgum is there. Marco Rubio is there. Mike Waltz is there. And and all these reporters. Susie Wiles is also there. And she's, in true Susie Wiles fashion, she's hiding in the background behind the lamp. You can't even really see her. But somebody zoomed in because something caught their eye in the hallway. And what they zoomed in on was, in the hallway, right outside of the Oval Office, Donald Trump has hung up his iconic mugshot. But he didn't just hang it up. It's framed. The mugshot that was taken in Fulton County, Georgia. Donald Trump rolled in. He took the mugshot because, Democrats. And the mugshot immediately went viral. It became the most famous mugshot in the world. Donald Trump put it on all kinds of merchandise, hats and T-shirts and stickers and mugs, and he had it all over it was all over the internet. I kept getting emails with the mugshot every single day. Now there is a copy of this mugshot, but again, not just hanging. It is framed in a big, beautiful gold frame. It's matted. It's got like the double matting, the kind of way you would mat like if you had like a like a diploma, maybe you get your PhD from Harvard and you put it with like a nice mat, or if you're, maybe a family photo, a kid's prom portrait or high school graduation. It's like in a spot of honor there too. It's right between his office and Susie Wiles' office, and anybody who walks down that hallway can see it, which is incredible to me. It's incredible to everybody. The internet literally lost their minds this morning. All I saw were people reposting Donald Trump's mugshot in the White House, and that tells you something. That tells you something. And a lot of people are surmising that Donald Trump hung this mugshot in the White House because he wants a reminder to himself. First of all, it's a badge of honor. When a crooked party, when a bunch of corrupt individuals who are weaponizing the government against their political opponent, like the Democrats did to Donald Trump, when that happens, Donald Trump says, look, I'm not going to shy away from this. I'm not offended by this. I'm not embarrassed by this. The fact that I went and got my mugshot taken proves that I stood up to the weaponization. I stood up to the anti-democratic Democrats. I stood up to the socialists who were trying to destroy our country from within. I stood up to the people who were trying to bury a political adversary and abusing their power to do it. I stood up to those people. That's what it says. And Donald Trump's like, I'm going to hang this as a badge of honor, and I'm going to let other people look at it too. And not only that, not only are we seeing that, not only is that the message that he's sending, but a lot of people are saying, look, he probably walks by this thing every day and he looks at it and he goes, you know what? This is what keeps me going. This is why I show up here every day with a fire in my belly. This is why I'm going after all these people in the government. This is why we're dismantling the deep state. This is why I'm making Kash Patel my FBI director. This is why I only get 4 hours of sleep every night, because this energizes me. What they did to me, we are going to do back to them 10 times over. And I have to imagine it's one of those things that just, like when you watch the game tape of the team that beat you badly and you're about to face them again, and you're like, okay, this time we're going to be ready, and we are just incensed and nothing is going to keep us from winning. And that's, I think, that's probably part of it. There's probably a little bit of both. There's probably Donald Trump thinks it's a cool. He's like, this is cool. This is baller. I'm going to be gangster. I got a mugshot. Never before has a presidential mugshot hung in the Oval Office, by the way. And I know that because no other president has ever had a mugshot that we know of. A couple of them probably should have. I imagine Bill Clinton probably should have. I imagine there's probably some crimes. I don't, he was never charged. He was never found guilty. But I imagine, if circumstances were different, there might have been something in his past. I'm thinking maybe, I don't know how far back mugshots go. Maybe Ulysses S. Grant got in a bar fight or something once. Who knows? I'm just saying that Donald Trump is the only president with a mugshot, and instead of hiding from it, he hangs it right there in the Oval Office. And one day, that's going to hang in the Donald Trump library, the Donald Trump Presidential Library, wherever that happens to be. And that's going to be it's going to be an incredible sight to see. I want to go, now that they've opened up the White House to tours again, Melania Trump, the First Lady's office, they released a statement yesterday saying, we are open for business. We're no longer closed off. This is the people's house. And if the people want to come and see it, the people are more than welcome. Please make a reservation through your congressperson. But that's it. They've opened the White House back up, and I hope that's on the tour. I would love, in fact, that's the only thing I'd want to see. The Oval Office, sure, that's cool, but I really want to see that framed mugshot hanging outside the Oval Office. That to me would be really cool. With Donald Trump meeting, speaking of the Oval Office, he did have RFK Jr. there as well. And RFK Jr. was there to accept the nomination and to be sworn in as the new Health and Human Services Secretary. And look, he's going to be great at this whole thing. He gave a heartfelt speech. They brought in the little podium and RFK Jr. got up there and he said some words, and I thought he was going to break down. He may have actually broken down. It's tough to tell. I was like, oh, look, he's getting choked up. But then I'm like, maybe that's just his voice, because he's got that interesting, he's got that interesting quirk in his voice, that thing. I forget what it's called. It's like a thing with his voice. I don't know what it is. But I was like, is he choking up or is he just talking? I can't even. Yeah, I think he's getting emotional, or he's just using words, one or the other. But anyway, here was RFK Jr. in the Oval Office yesterday, thanking President Donald Trump for keeping his word and helping to make America healthy again.
For 20 years, I've gotten up every morning on my knees and prayed that God would put me in a position where I can end the childhood chronic disease epidemic in this country. On August 23rd of last year, God sent me President Trump. And he gave me he's kept every promise that he's made to me. He's kept his word in every account and gone way beyond it. I'm so grateful to you, Mr. President. A lot of people told me that I couldn't trust President Trump, that I better get it in writing. And we did a handshake, and everything that he told me he was going to do, he has done. And I'm so grateful to him. And I've told you before, I genuinely believe that you are a pivotal historical figure, and you are going to transform this country.
Yeah, he's already doing. He's already transformed the country. The country is already transformed. Doge is destroying the USAID, destroying the education department. Yesterday, Donald Trump sent Doge officers into the IRS, and Elon Musk's, merry band of teenagers. I don't know what you call them. They went into the IRS building. They got access, and they said, "Okay, hi, we're here from Doge. We'd like to see the manager." Man, the only thing scarier than a Karen asking to see the manager is Doge asking to see the manager. And they walk in, they're like, "Hi, we're from Doge." I wonder if they have badges. Like, they go, "Doge, we're going to need to see your supervisor." That's gonna be the best thing in the world. But they go into the IRS office. Everybody panics. They start going through the IRS records, and they're looking for waste. They're looking for corruption. They're looking for fraud. They're looking for ridiculous expenditures. They're looking for missing money. They're looking for everything. They're basically auditing the IRS, which, isn't that everyone's dream come true, finally? They're going through the Department of Education. Donald Trump sent off massive layoffs notices to the Department of Education, as well as a bunch of other government bureaucracies, and he's cleaning house. Doge continues to clean house, and no matter what they try to do with Elon Musk and Donald Trump, nobody is splitting them up. Nobody's separating them. They are still BFFs, and Donald Trump knows the importance of the mission that Doge has. He knows it's a promise he made to the American people, and it's a promise he's going to keep. And that is something that is very important to him. Whatever Donald Trump says, he's going to do. whether it's shutting down government agencies that are wasteful, whether it's putting criminals behind bars, whether it's, cutting down the size of government, whether it's sending education back to the states, which is so important. In fact, Linda McMahon was was at the Senate yesterday. She's just now going through her Senate confirmation process. You want to talk about these lengthy confirmation processes? It's crazy, but she's the Secretary of Education, and her department, listen, her department's about to be shuttered. She's about to be the secretary. She's about to be the secretary of an empty building is what she's about to become the secretary of. Linda McMahon is on the way in and out at the same time. They're going to hand her a badge and say, I'm going to need that badge back because the Department of Education is done. And she's all for it. Listen to what she said yesterday in her opening statements.
The bottom line is because it's not working. Department of Education was set up in 1980, and since that time we have spent almost $1 trillion, and we have watched our performance scores continue to go down. I do believe that it is a responsibility to make sure that our children do have equal access to excellent education. I think that that is best handled at the state level, closest to the states, working with state administrators, teachers, parents who should have input into their curriculum.
Yeah, they should. The federal bureaucracy, first of all, we know that the federal government can't really do anything cheaply or effectively. And when it comes to education, they've proven over and over again that they have no idea what they're doing. And the states do, some of them. I won't play again. Donald Trump, though, has said this over and over again. There's like 36 states that he believes would do much better than any other country. And then you've got those other 13 or 14 states that apparently are bringing us all down. But it doesn't matter because we're spending way too much on our students and we're not getting a return on our investment. And as a result, all these other countries are miles ahead of the curve, and they're learning the technology faster, and they're learning the computer systems faster, and their kids are accelerating faster, and their economies are being built faster. And then we've got to ship all these people in here, and it's like a whole thing. So Donald Trump's going to tear down education and hand it back to the states. But it's not just, look, there's a lot that we need to realize that is bad about other countries and is good about the United States of America. And the things that are bad in the United States of America, Donald Trump is working to make better. The border is non-existent. He's building it back up. The amount of criminal illegal aliens in this country is horrible, and he's going to get rid of all of them. He's got Tom Homan working on it. Oh, by the way, Tom Homan was asked about AOC. Did you hear AOC did a webinar? AOC, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, she put together a webinar, and this webinar is designed for illegal immigrants to avoid ICE. X is Elon Musk's platform. She has a webinar. I'm trying to see. Here it is. Look at this. This is part from her webinar. Do not open your door. ICE cannot enter your home without a warrant signed by a judge. Tell the agents to show you the warrant by sliding it under the door. So she's teaching illegal immigrants what to do and what not to do in the case of ICE agents showing up at your door. And so Laura Ingraham had Tom Homan on, and she goes, hey, is this like against the law and stuff?
But Tom, you got AOC out there, Alexandria Ocasio-Cortez, Congresswoman, putting out a webinar, doing a webinar to help illegals avoid, I guess, apprehension, giving tips about how to continue to remain in the country and ultimately game the system.
And I sent an email today to the Deputy Attorney General. At what level is that impediment? Is that impediment? I'm not an attorney. I'm not a prosecutor. Is that impediment? Is that impeding our law enforcement efforts? If so, what are we going to do about it? Is she crossing the line? So I'm working with the Department of Justice and finding out where is that line that they cross. So maybe AOC is going to be in trouble now, but I need the AOG to opine on that. But because there's impediment is impediment, in my opinion. I'm not a prosecutor, but we need some further guidance on that. But again, if we have to take every federal dollar out of the city, we'll do it. I mean, we're done. This is it. We're done. We'll take every federal dollar we need to out of New York. We'll do it because Kathy Hochul's already been sued by the DOJ. Letitia James has been sued by the DOJ. What's his name? Mark Schroeder, Paul Schroeder, Doder, but all of them. They're all being sued by the DOJ. And if AOC, who's from New York, is also now going to do free webinars for immigrants to teach them how to stay in this country, then they'll just take all the money from New York. Take it all.
All the money from New York, just take it away and let them figure it out on their own and see how quickly they turn things around. Gavin Newsom, who is, first of all, spineless, and second of all, smart. I mean, I guess smarter than most. Gavin Newsom has already realized that Donald Trump means business. And look at this. Gavin Newsom falls in line with Trump as he... hold on, I have to click a button here. Gavin Newsom falls in line with Trump as he makes shock migrant move. California Governor Gavin Newsom has taken the first step toward falling in line with President Donald Trump. Trump's immigration policy just days after sanctuary cities were put on notice. The Democrat will veto a bill from woke politicians in his own party who sought to limit state prisons' cooperation with immigration agents as ICE carries out Trump's mass deportation scheme. Newsom has long boasted about the migrant protections offered under California's sanctuary city laws, but the proposed policy goes a step too far even for Newsom, who has clashed with President Trump repeatedly over opposing politics. So Gavin Newsom is looking at what's going on with these other sanctuary cities and these other sanctuary states. He's like, I don't want to get sued. I don't want to get sued by the DOJ. They mean business. They're serious. Pam Bondi is scary. Donald Trump is scary. And these people are not messing around. You know what else they did? They also dropped the charges against Eric Adams, Eric Adams, the mayor of New York City. He was prosecuted by his own people, by his own party. Imagine that. You're the mayor. You're the Democrat mayor of New York City. And you see there's a migrant crisis, and you see that there's no way out, and you see that there's no end in sight, and you beg Joe Biden for help, and he ignores you, doesn't take your calls, doesn't send you money, just keeps sending you more immigrants, and you stand up and you say something about it, and what do? Do they send help? No, they prosecute you. They prosecute you. They do exactly what they did to Donald Trump, but they're doing it to one of their own in an effort to get him to shut up about the migrant crisis. So Eric Adams now has been the new DOJ. Pam, they dropped all the charges. They're not going against Eric Adams. They want him. They need his help. And I guarantee that Eric Adams is right aboard the Trump train right now. And he's going to be helping federal officers. He's going to be helping ICE agents. He's going to be helping the Donald Trump administration weed out all of the illegal criminal activity from New York City and helping these massive deportations of gang members and drug dealers and human traffickers and whoever else has infiltrated the borders of the United States under Joe Biden's 4 years of ridiculousness. That's what's happening. And you can either lead, follow, or get the hell out of the way, or go to jail. And Gavin Newsom doesn't want to go to jail. So Gavin Newsom's like, you know what? I'm good. I'll just veto the bill that the Democrats in California put together so that you can have free reign here, much like everybody else. It's really outstanding how quickly Donald Trump has been able to make these changes to not just the country, but the world. He's changing the world. He's changing the world with the war in Ukraine. The war in Ukraine is going to end any minute now because Donald Trump's done. He's like, look, we're done with the fighting and the killing and the stuff like that. We're done with all this junk. Russia, Ukraine, it's sickening. Let's just get rid of it. And he was at this press conference yesterday at the White House. He was taking questions with Prime Minister Modi, and somebody asked him about that. He goes, yeah, we're going to have a deal in place like real soon.
We had some talks, and we told the European Union, we told the NATO people, largely they overlap, you have to pay more money because it's unfair what we're doing. We're doing a tremendous amount more. We're probably $200 billion more going into Ukraine, using for Ukraine to fight. And Europe has not really carried its weight in terms of the money. It's not equitable. And we want to see a counterbalance. We want to have them put up more money. They have to do that. At the same time, we had a very good conversation with President Putin yesterday, and we also had a very good conversation. I did in both cases with President Zelensky. And I think we're going to be able to do something. I think we're going to be able to make a deal. And I hope so, because it's a horrible war. It's a very terrible, bloody war with 1.5 million soldiers at least already dead on the battlefield, lying all over the fields like nobody's ever seen anything like it, certainly since the Second World War. And so I think we're going to be able to do something. We're working with President Zelensky and with President Putin. And my impression is that I know that President Zelensky wants to make a deal. And I also feel that I know that President Putin wants to make a deal. I wanted to know that before I began any detailed discussions. But the meeting and the conversation, also the meeting with Steve Witkoff in Moscow was a very successful one. And my phone call with him was a very successful one.
So there you go. So Donald Trump's making things happen. He's like, look, we're gonna get with our European allies. We're gonna tell them they need to start stepping up. They need to start, fitting the bill for this. We're not paying blindly for everything anymore. NATO is not the United States of America. It's NATO. And so what they're trying to do now is they're trying to tell Donald Trump that these are unacceptable terms. They don't want to be in charge of security in Europe. They don't want to be in charge of making sure there's no more Russian aggression. They want to push that off on the United States of America. And they feel that one of the ways that the United States of America can help them is by continuing the war and continuing to funnel assets and weapons to Vladimir Zelensky. It keeps Zelensky off their back, and it keeps Russia kind of engaged, and they don't have to worry about, Russia invading Poland or any other place because they're busy in Ukraine. The Europeans love it. They're thrilled by it. And the worst thing that could happen to them is for this war to end, because then they're in charge of taking care of themselves. And they don't want to do that. And JD Vance, by the way, went to Europe and basically told them they're all a bunch of horrible people. He got up on stage. He goes, "Hey guys, thanks for having me in Europe. You guys all suck." This is basically, that was the gist of it. That was the gist. They basically said, "You guys all suck." And I have some amazing clips. You're not going to believe. Do you think Donald Trump is a bad mamma jamma? He is. But wait till you hear what JD Vance said to Europeans to their faces in Europe. I'm going to tell you all about that in just a minute. First, though, I would like to tell you about our sponsor for the Mark Kaye Show, our good friends at Colonial Metals Group. You can get their free gold guide free for you by going to freegoldguide.com/KAYE. That's my last name. And if you check the description of this video, you're going to see it in there. But this is a way for you to make your savings bulletproof. Secure your financial future with gold, and do it now. Get your free gold guide. 2025's gold guide is free to you, and you can learn all sorts of great stuff. If you looking to grow your retirement savings with gold and silver, they'll tell you how to do it. A gold IRA is the way to go. If you want to know why precious metals offer a strong defense against de-dollarization, guess what? They'll tell you that too. How you can invest penalty-free and tax-free. All of these great things are in this gold guide, and this is one of the coolest offers ever. Limited time offer on qualifying accounts up to $7,500. That's not $750. That's $7,500 in free bonus silver sent to your home or stored in a secured vault of your choosing, plus a free safe. Look at that. You get a free safe, free silver sent to your home on a qualifying account. There's no reason not to claim your free gold guide. Make sure you see my face on the page there. If you don't see my face, you're on the wrong page. freegoldguide.com/KAYE. freegoldguide.com/K. Be sure you to go check out Colonial Metals Group because they're looking out for you. Again, there's a link to that in the description of this video, wherever you happen to be watching. So JD Vance goes to Europe. And this guy, you want to talk about cojones grandes. JD Vance gets off the plane. He's 40 years old. He walks into this room. All of Europe is there. He's in Germany, by the way. And he immediately says, "Hey guys, thanks for having me. You guys suck." And I'm talking to you, Brussels.
Living memory of many of you in this room, the Cold War positioned defenders of democracy against much more tyrannical forces on this continent. And consider the side in that fight that censored dissidents, that closed churches, that canceled elections. Were they the good guys? Certainly not. And thank God they lost the Cold War. They lost because they neither valued nor respected all of the extraordinary blessings of liberty. The freedom to surprise, to make mistakes, to invent, to build. As it turns out, you can't mandate innovation or creativity, just as you can't force people what to think, what to feel, or what to believe. And we believe those things are certainly connected. And unfortunately, when I look at Europe today, it's sometimes not so clear what happened to some of the Cold War's winners. I look to Brussels, where EU commissars warn citizens that they intend to shut down social media during times of civil unrest the moment they spot what they've judged to be, quote, hateful content.
Yeah, F you, Brussels. Yet take your sprouts and shove them where the sun don't shine. Yeah, look at this. You guys, he's basically saying, what happened to the strong countries that won the Cold War? Where are all the Cold War winners? I look out here and there used to be strength. These were people that stood up to the USSR. These are people that stood up to Gorbachev. These are people that fought and won and beat Hitler. These are people that since World War II were tough leaders that banded together. These are the people that we looked to from the United States of America to ally ourselves with, to fight back against communism and oppression and Nazism. We used to fight back against people who would say, you can't say that. We used to fight back against people who would say, you can't read that. You can't pray to that God. Freedom was the thing we fought for, and now freedom is the thing that you B-words are trying to take away from your own citizens. What happened to you? The Cold War winners are gone, and they've been replaced with the pansies that we fought against in World War II and the Cold War. And it ain't just Brussels.
Or to this very country, where police have carried out raids against citizens suspected of posting anti-feminist comments online as part of, quote, combating misogyny on the internet, a day of action. I look to Sweden, where 2 weeks ago the government convicted a Christian activist for participating in Koran burnings that resulted in his friend's murder. And as the judge in his case chillingly noted, Sweden's laws to supposedly protect free expression do not, in fact, grant, and I'm quoting, a free pass to do or say anything without risking offending the group that holds that belief.
Yeah, Germany. You're just as bad. And he didn't even stop there. He's like Brussels, Germany. Who else? The United Kingdom. Oh, you guys are the worst. You guys are throwing people in jail for Facebook posts. You guys are showing up with armed police at people's houses because of stuff that they posted on Facebook.
And perhaps most concerningly, I look to our very dear friends, the United Kingdom, where the backslide away from conscience rights has placed the basic liberties of religious Britons in particular in the crosshairs. A little over 2 years ago, the British government charged Adam Smith Connor, a 51-year-old physiotherapist and an Army veteran, with the heinous crime of standing 50 meters from an abortion clinic and silently praying for 3 minutes. Not obstructing anyone, not interacting with anyone, just silently praying on his own. And after British law enforcement spotted him and demanded to know what he was praying for, Adam replied simply, it was on behalf of the unborn son he and his former girlfriend had aborted years before. Now, the officers were not moved. Adam was found guilty of breaking the government's new buffer zones law, which criminalizes silent prayer and other actions that could influence a person's decision within 200 meters of an abortion facility. He was sentenced to pay thousands of pounds in legal costs to the prosecution. Now, I wish I could say that this was a fluke, a one-off crazy example of a badly written law being enacted against a single person. But no, this last October, just a few months ago, the Scottish government began distributing letters to citizens whose houses lay within so-called safe access zones, warning them that even private prayer within their own homes may amount to breaking the law. Naturally, the government urged readers to report any fellow citizens suspected guilty of thought crime. In Britain and across Europe, free speech, I fear, is in retreat.
What he's describing is exactly what happened in Nazi Germany. They said, you can't pray, you can't do this, you can't be Jewish, yada, yada. Oh, and by the way, we are urging people to turn in their friends and neighbors. If you see anybody or if you know anybody who's exhibiting this behavior or who's breaking the law, turn them in. They turn citizen against citizen, brother against brother, friend against friend, ally against ally, neighbor against neighbor. That's exactly how they get it done. They basically they create an entire cult within the country and they get people to turn on each other. That's how they contain their power. And it's really weird to see. Again, he's right. All of these people, all of these countries fought against this kind of mind control, fought against this kind of propaganda. They fought against all of this in World War II and in the Cold War, and now they're adopting the same principles. And J.D. Vance is out there to tell him, it's all of, he's basically, before he left, he was like, look, if I left anybody out, I want you to know everybody in this room is just horrible.
But while the Trump administration is very concerned with European security and believes that we can come to a reasonable settlement between Russia and Ukraine. And we also believe that it's important in the coming years for Europe to step up in a big way to provide for its own defense. The threat that I worry the most about vis-a-vis Europe is not Russia, it's not China, it's not any other external actor. And what I worry about is the threat from within, the retreat of Europe from some of its most fundamental values, values shared with the United States of America.
That's the big problem. You guys got two problems over here. Number one, your first big problem is you're not stepping up and protecting yourselves. And when we pull our defenses back, when we pull our money back, hell, if we even just pull out of NATO like Mike Lee thinks we should do, Senator Mike Lee is like, I think we should just leave NATO. Doesn't benefit us at all. We'll leave NATO and then, let's see if any of them pony up for the check. Let's see what happens then. We'll just leave NATO and they can deal with it on their own. We got a whole ocean in between us. We don't need to worry about it. We can protect ourselves. Let NATO deal with themselves. There's enough of them. There's enough money. There's enough manpower. There's enough weaponry in Europe that if they all band together, they can take care of Putin and they can take care of whatever other threat they want. But they don't want to do that. They spend their money on other stuff like these ridiculous social justice programs, which J.D. Vance is saying are making you look more like the enemy than the ally. He did, however, throw a little barb their way, which this was a great joke, by the way, and I hope he keeps it in his set whenever he travels. Like if he goes to another country, I hope he does. I hope he keeps this joke in his tight 10 because it was awesome.
And expressing opinions isn't election interference. Even when people express views outside your own country, and even when those people are very influential. And trust me, I say this with all humor. If American democracy can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg scolding, you guys can survive a few months of Elon Musk.
Literally nobody laughed at that. How do you not laugh at that? If Europe can survive 10 years of Greta Thunberg scolding, clearly you can survive a few months of Elon Musk.
How dare you?
And nobody laughs at that? Come on.
How dare you?
That was great. That was a winner. That was a winner right there. I mean, come on. Have a little humor. I wrote to JD Vance on X. I said, that was a great joke. I hope you keep it in. Do not get rid of that joke. That one was a banger. Listen, there's something else that happened. There are a couple of other things that happened. This tariff action that Donald Trump is taking, this is another one of the reasons why Europe is so scared, why Asia is so scared, India, that's why they're coming all the way across the ocean to see Donald Trump. It's the tariffs. It's all about tariffs and money. That's all anyone cares about. The people in Ukraine, they don't care about Ukraine. They don't care about Russia. They care about money. Just like anybody else. They're like, all right, listen, if Donald Trump pulls out of NATO or if Donald Trump, they know, look, Zelensky he has no money. Guy's a beggar. He's going to go to the next country on the list. If the United States of America stops sending money, which they are, Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent already went there and said, look, here's your deal. You can give us your natural resources and your minerals. We'll maybe give you some money to rebuild, but you got to stop the war. He said no. He wants the money to keep coming in. And if the United States pulls the plug, he's going to go to the next one. All right, what's next? United Kingdom. Okay, what about after that? France, Germany, Austria, Poland. Then none of them are as rich as the United States of America. They're not going to give us the money that we need to sustain our lifestyle, to buy Ferraris and drive them around in Spain. I mean, what are we going to do? That's what they're worried about. And Europe's worried about money too. They don't want to have to give money to Ukraine. They don't want to have to give money to their own defenses, not when the United States has been doing it for so long. So they're mad. They're fuming mad. They are a bunch of teenagers who just lost their allowance and they don't know how to handle themselves. They're freaking out about it. Same thing with India. These tariffs. Donald Trump put reciprocal tariffs on everybody. Basically, he said, look, here's what we're going to do. We're going to do reciprocal tariffs. So if you tariff us, we're going to tariff you equally. If you tariff us 25% or 15%, for example, China, if you put 15% tariffs on goods and services coming from the United States into China, we're going to put 15% tariffs on goods and services coming from China into the United States of America. Same thing with Canada. Same thing with Mexico. Same thing with India. It doesn't matter where. India's the worst. India's got like 20% tariffs, 25% tariffs. If you're going to tariff us, we're going to tariff you right back at an equal level. And that goes both ways, by the way. Scott Bessent was on, I think it was Fox News, to explain that to people that didn't understand it.
China is the most imbalanced, unbalanced country in the history of the world. And President Trump, during his first term, alerted the American people to that and has taken the steps. But now we can see that, are your friends taking advantage of you? Are they your friends that they're taking advantage of you? That we have a gigantic trade deficit with the Europeans, and President Trump is talking about reciprocal tariffs. What is wrong with reciprocal tariffs? If you have a tariff, we're going to put in the same level. If you take it to zero, we'll take it to zero.
Oh, look, there's the kicker. That's the reason why Donald Trump wants reciprocal tariffs. He's not looking for money. I mean, he'll take it. But he knows that as soon as he places reciprocal tariffs on a lot of these different countries, he knows they will drop their tariffs and there will be zero tariffs. Donald Trump knows that. He's like, all right, great. You got tariffs on us. We're going to put tariffs on you. Well, wait a minute. That's not good. Okay, I'll tell you what. You drop your tariffs, we'll drop ours. All right, let's do that. It's going to save so much money. And if they don't, guess what? We're just going to make more money in the end. Either way, it's a win-win for the United States. It's so basic. It's so simple. It's so just, it's so just mind-numbingly, I don't know other way. It just makes sense. This is the kind of stuff that, this is the kind of stuff that we learned in school. Remember, like someone would come to you and say, you're a jerk. And you go, no, you're a jerk. That's reciprocity. If I'm a jerk, you're a jerk. Okay, great. Same thing happens in the United States. I'm charging you 25 cents. Oh yeah, well, I'm charging you 25 cents. Well, I'm charging you 50. All right, I'm charging you 50. All right, fine, I'm not charging you anything. Fine, I won't charge you anything either. That's how it works. It never changes. It's been that way since the beginning of time. It will be that way till the end of time. Joe Biden didn't want to do it. Joe Biden didn't stand up to anybody. Joe Biden was petrified of these other countries. He thought the United States of America needs to pay more. We'll tax our rich people and we'll pay more in tariffs. And as a result, China will keep him in their good graces and maybe send him some money through one of those back channel shell corporations that he set up with his family members. Maybe if he keeps, maybe if he keeps funneling money into Ukraine, but maybe if he blackmails them with billions of dollars worth of our tax dollars in relief, maybe then they'll protect his son. And also put his son on the board of a company and pay him every month for doing basically nothing. Maybe that'll happen. For Joe Biden, it wasn't about the United States of America. It wasn't about the people. It was about his people. He wasn't looking, it's like, how can I protect everybody in Alabama, Alaska, Arizona, Arkansas, California, Colorado, Connecticut, all the states? How can I do that? He was like, how can I protect Hunter and Jill and James and all the other Bidens, except for that one grandchild that I don't like to talk about because Hunter had her out of wedlock with that stripper. But all the other ones, all the legitimate Bidens, how do I protect them? How do I make them millionaires? Forget the country. Forget the people that elected me. I'm just worried about my own. I'm just worried about my kin. I need to protect them because I'm not going to be around forever. Hell, I'm shocked I'm here this long. Donald Trump's looking out for everybody. He doesn't care about anything but here's what Donald Trump cares about. He wants to make America rich again. He wants to make America safe again. He doesn't want any nuclear proliferation. He doesn't want any wars. He just wants a big, strong military that nobody's ever going to mess with. And if he has a big, strong military that nobody's ever going to mess with, there's not going to be any problems. And at the same time, he wants people to stop taking advantage of us so that Americans can be richer.
When I left, as you know, 4 years ago, we didn't have Israel and the Middle East. We didn't have October 7th, a disaster, Nothing was happening. Iran was not going to do anything because Iran did not have much money at that point. They were broke. They were totally broke. They didn't have money for Hamas or for Hezbollah. And you didn't have Russia with Ukraine, and that would never have happened. But now I come back and the whole world is on fire, so I have to put out the fires. But after I put out the fires, I'm going to meet with China and I'm going to meet with Russia, and we're going to see if we can de-escalate, if we can bring it down military, especially as it pertains to nuclear.
Yeah, nobody wants that. Nobody wants nuclear weapons. Nobody wants, especially in Iran. That's what he's talking about. He's talking about Iran. He's like, look, I know China has weapons. I know Russia has weapons. We know North Korea has weapons. We don't want any more weapons. We especially don't want them with Iran. And Donald Trump's going to make sure that Iran does not get nuclear weapons because that would be bad for everybody.
How dare you?
Well, I mean, that's what he's going to do. By the way, one more thing before we wrap it up here, because it is Valentine. I know it's Valentine's Day. Did you guys see this incredible video? We're going to get to the after party in a minute, but did you guys see this incredible video of a guy kayaking? This has nothing to do with politics, by the way. This guy was kayaking with his buddy, and his buddy had a camera on. And while he was kayaking, his friend was kayaking, Chris Christie jumped up out of the water and swallowed this guy in his kayak whole. And then eventually, I guess Chris Christie was like, oh, I bit off more than I could chew, and spit him right back up. It's really incredible. Look at this. There's the guy kayaking, choppy water. All of a sudden, there's Chris Christie, and he sucks him in. And then, he spits the guy back out. And look, the guy in his kayak popped back out of Chris Christie. And Chris Christie's still swimming around like, oh. And then his friend, I don't know what his friend's saying. His friend's, I think, tranquilo. I think he's saying, calm down, calm down. And his friend like starts paddling toward him. Yeah, I think that's calm down, right? Tranquilo, or it's okay. So his friend gets up to him, and this guy's like, dude, I was inside of Chris Christie, and it was horrible. Chris Christie swallowed me and then spit me back out. It was god awful. It was god awful. I mean, there it is in slow motion again. This is crazy. This is the wildest thing. Okay, fine. It's a whale. It's a humpback whale. Fine. What a Chris Christie humpback whale. It's tough to tell. I thought it was Chris Christie at first. Apparently it's a humpback whale. But I mean, that's incredible. This is a real life. What was it? Who got eaten? Was it Jonah got eaten by the whale? Right? Wasn't it Jonah got eaten by the whale? And then he was inside the whale, and I guess he got spit back out again. This is wild. I mean, have you ever seen anything like this? Look at this. Guy's in the mouth, right there. He's in the whale's mouth. Whale swallows him. Whale goes back underwater. I guess goes, no, I don't like that. I don't like. Hey, vente. Yeah. Tranquilo, agarra el bote, agarra. Yeah, the whale was like, no, I don't like Spanish food. So he spit him right back out, and now and he lived to tell about it. He lived to tell about it. That is true. That's a truly incredible story, and that is truly an incredible thing that happened. Listen, I hope everybody has a fantastic Valentine's Day. If you need a last minute gift for Valentine's Day, let me remind you about the Mark Kaye shop and all of the fantastic things that we have for sale there. Now, I mean, okay, last minute gift. It's not going to get there in time for Valentine's Day. It will get there, however, in time for next Valentine's Day. So if you'd like a Gulf of America shirt, if you're planning ahead, if you'd like an official Gulf of America t-shirt in a fashion color, all you have to do is go to markkaysshop.com. Markkaysshop.com is where you go for your fashion colors and your Gulf of America swag and all your really cool stuff. We've also got Patriot gear there and the Donald Trump portrait. If you want your official Donald Trump portrait mug, coffee mug, or tote bag, I know a lot of people are into tote bags these days. We've got all of them up there, and all you have to do is go to markkaysshop.com and snag whatever it is you'd like. There's a 15% off coupon, too, at the very top, Trump World. You use coupon code Trump World, and that'll get you 15% off of your entire order. These things go really quickly, and sometimes people write me and go, oh, look, like, for example, Ollie wanted the camo Brighter Future Collection tee, which has Donald Trump's iconic quote on the back. America's future will be bigger, better, bolder, brighter, happier, stronger, freer, greater, and more united than ever before. And it's on his beautiful camo shirt with my signature on the front. Those sell out pretty quick. In fact, if you look, the extra larges are gone. We'll get more in stock. So don't wait. If you're looking for something in the way of Gulf of America gear or Patriot gear or whatever, now's the time to go. markkaysshop.com. Also, in just a hot minute, we are going to be starting our after party, and you can join us at Patriots.com. But if you're listening to the podcast, first of all, thanks so much. Make sure you're subscribed. Make sure you subscribe to the podcast. Make sure that you're telling your podcast provider, I want this all the time. But the reviews are working. We keep climbing the charts. We're almost into the top 100. And that is we were in the top 100 for a while. We slipped out because here's what happens. I'm going to let you in on a little secret. And any of you that are in my ACES group, this is the kind of stuff we do. Let me tell you a little bit about podcasts. What happens is when people start new podcasts, and it happens a lot, people will start new podcasts, especially at the beginning of the year. They're like, we're launching a new podcast. The beginning of Donald Trump's presidency, a lot of people decided now's a good time to get into the news industry. And so these new podcasts pop up. The average lifespan of a new podcast is maybe 3 to 6 episodes. Most people start a podcast, they do 3 episodes. By the 6th episode, they're like, this isn't for me, or I'm not really sure what I'm doing, or I don't really like it, or I'm not getting the kind of traction that I wanted. So these podcasts kind of dissipate, and then, we all pop back up. But for those of us that are in it to win it for the long haul, it's just, it's just slightly annoying, because a lot of these charts will take a new podcast and they will promote the new podcast without any kind of real backing, just to do it. So if you could leave a review, especially if you're on iTunes, leave us a review, 5 stars, some kind of positive review. Reviews really help. And it's not just about listens, it's about interaction. So anytime you can interact with the podcast platform, we would appreciate it. If you're on YouTube or Rumble or wherever else, make sure you're subscribed. We got a bunch of people watching on TikTok. Make sure you follow. We appreciate that, because we're going to keep doing this every single day. There's so much to do. There's so much. The battles are brutal. Every time Donald Trump does something good, there's somebody in there trying to stop him. Every time Donald Trump tries to help the country, there's people out there that are like, no, that's going to hurt me personally, so I'm going to try to stop you. I'm going to sue you. There's judges out there that are trying to thwart the system. There's Mitch McConnell out there voting no for some dumb reason against everything Donald Trump wants to accomplish. We still have enemies. They're still there. AOC is doing webinars to try to teach illegal immigrants how to avoid ICE and deportation. There are people actively working against the United States of America. That's why you and I have to regroup here every single day. You need to be getting the information we pump out every single day. When we put out a new video or podcast, I want you to be able to watch it and listen to it and ingest it and learn from it and be educated and inspired and enlightened and entertained. And I want you, dogs are freaking out for some reason, I want you to continue to fight, so that we can continue to save the republic. The dogs are out there fighting right now. I don't know what they're fighting with, but they're fighting with somebody. Hey, the after party begins in 3 minutes.